How do you even begin to talk about REQ packs? I think the obvious route many people take is to criticize them as microtransactions, and because, of course, microtransactions are Satan incarnate, REQ packs are therefore evil. But I think that's ill-advised. I think the problem with REQ packs is much deeper than that, and I'd like to explore those reasons today. And I'll be honest, I didn't know how I'd feel about them pre-launch. Of course, I didn't like the thought of microtransactions being in Halo, or any game for that matter, but Halo was doing something different than other games that made me stop and not immediately destroy it, and at one point, I even thought they might be a good thing. Because unlike most games, Halo 5's microtransactions have a purpose, other than to simply siphon more money. Unlike other prominent shooters, Halo is giving away free DLC. That's crazy, and at the time of its announcement, people were jumping for joy. 18 free DLC maps, sign me up. And it justified REQ packs as an alternative revenue stream. Because let's be honest with ourselves, a game can't continue to add content unless it continues to make money. It has to have something that gives it continued financial support to have a continuous stream of new content, and a lot of people, like myself, understand this. Yeah, you still have a lot of people that just go, dude, microtransactions bad, but a lot of people saw REQ packs as an alternate way for 343 to earn money and support the game. And in some ways, it's better because buying REQ packs is optional, and if you don't want to buy, and then you don't have to, and you still get all of the free content that was essentially paid for by other people. But it wasn't just this that made it seem pretty alright, but it was also the fact that 343 made a conscious effort to make sure that the content you received in the REQ packs didn't imbalance the game, and that many of the potential rewards were simply cosmetic, like armor pieces and skins, and that the only gameplay altering things you could earn were restricted to the casual Warzone mode, and even then, balancing systems were put into place so that you couldn't just spend a bunch of money, get a crazy amount of high-powered REQs, and go to town. They made REQs perishable, which means if you use it once, it's gone. This means you may theoretically get a better item than somebody else, but it's temporary and ultimately not a damning balance issue, considering it exists solely in the Warzone variant. They really tried hard to make this seem as unintrusive and pro-player as they possibly could, and holy hell did people buy into it. You're probably sitting there thinking, wow, you must think the Req system is great, especially describing it the way you did, but no. I don't think it's great. I don't even think it's good. In fact, I don't like it at all, and I'm going to try and prove to you all who are listening why Halo will be better off without it. But I'm not going to try and convince you by telling you that it's pay to win, or that it's because of microtransactions, or all the reasons you've heard before, because the REQ pack system isn't bad for Halo because of what it is. It's because of what it isn't. It isn't a worthwhile incentive to keep playing. It doesn't provide rewards that players can be proud of. And there are so many potential interactions that this system can't provide that others might. And what I mean by that is this. The REQ system may not be terrible, it may not break the game, and yeah, it might even allow for devs to give away free DLC, but that doesn't suddenly make the system itself good. That doesn't automatically mean it's the best route going forward. In my opinion, the REQ system eliminates the ability for more potentially rewarding systems, and I would even argue that the upsides to the REQ system are not all that they're cracked up to be. So let's revisit those upsides again. It doesn't break the game. Well, that's great that 343 took the time to balance the game, but is this statement really an upside? Should a new system be praised and defended simply based on the standpoint that, hey, at least it doesn't break or ruin anything? That's not a good thing about the system. That should be a given and unmentionable. We as gamers should expect this from our games. Another is that it contributed to the HCS prize pool. Again, it's not like it's a bad thing, but how does that affect you? Does that make the game itself better? Does that extra $1 million that a very select few people get to even have a chance at obtaining make Halo 5 a better game? Not only that, but people act like microtransactions are the only way to make this possible. Like, for instance, say Halo 5 had traditional DLC when you paid for map packs and whatnot. Are you telling me it's impossible to make a portion of those proceeds go to the prize pool as well? Having money go to the HCS has nothing to do with the REQ pack system itself, because 343 could have chosen to do that no matter how they plan to support their game post-launch. And of course, the biggest upside is the free DLC. Now, when this first was announced, many, myself included, were surprised and pretty happy about this. 18 Halo maps coming post-launch for free, all paid for by a system that was completely optional to partake in. Before the game came out, I was basically pro-REQ packs, or at least I was happy enough with the trade-off to keep my mouth shut. But as we got closer to launch and I started to see how much I was missing day one, this supposed benefit to the REQ system was greatly diminished because it became abundantly clear to me that much of this free DLC that they were hyping up were things that should have been there day one. And when I noticed that a lot of the maps didn't have remixed versions, I said right then to expect them to be a part of the DLC, which has happened. When they originally said 18 free DLC maps, I expected it to be in the traditional sense, like we would be getting like maybe 3 to 5 map packs with a variety of new maps. But what has this free DLC been so far? First, we got Big Team Battle and a selection of Forge maps. Big Team Battle, something that's been in every pre-Halo 5 entry on day one, and then the new update. We got Forge, again, something that's always been a day one feature, a remixed version of Plaza, 2 Forge maps, and a Warzone map that 343 showed footage of months before release. So in your content update, you say you're adding Forge and 4 maps to your game, but what I see is you finally adding a feature that should have been more heavily prioritized in development and been available day one as previous versions were. 2 maps made using those tools, a remixed version of a map we have, and a Warzone map that also should have been released at launch, considering you have gameplay footage of it from months ago, and that the game only shipped with 3 Warzone maps to begin with. Now again, it's not a bad thing that these things are being added to the game finally, and obviously, thank God, they're free. But I don't view this DLC as 343 adding content to the game. To me, they're still finishing it. To me, all of the things they've added so far should have been available to me for my initial $60 purchase. I think BBK Dragoon put it pretty nicely when he said that it's not bad that they're adding these things, but it's not good that they act like it's a favor to us. Like they don't have to, but because they're so great, they're going to add Forge and Big Team Battle of all things. These quintessential features that you're putting in the game via DLC is not what we thought you meant when you tried to justify a microtransaction system as a means to pay for post-launch content, because the content being added so far should not be post-launch. It should be day one. So until you reach the point where this game is complete and on par with the content of past entries, this excuse and this benefit of the Req system means nothing. And then once the game has become fully featured, you can start making good on all that free DLC you promised, with actual maps made from scratch that you started after the game was already finished. And what about the Req system itself? What is its purpose? Well, the Req system represents Halo's reward structure. Aside from the gameplay itself and maybe the ranking system, these REQ packs are supposed to be what you play for. They are the goal. They should be rewarding not only to obtain, but their content should also be rewarding. But is this really the case? Because to me, not only are REQ packs uneventful to earn, but their rewards are not a big enough incentive to play. Now, that's an opinion. No doubt some people like the Req system, but let me try and ruin that perception for those who feel that way. What does the Req system reward you with? Cosmetic armor, logos, Warzone weapons. Some are loadout weapons, and some are more powerful one-time use weapons like rocket launchers and railguns. Now, I've heard the spiel. Cosmetic armor doesn't have gameplay benefits. They're aesthetic only, and Warzone weapons you get are balanced by various systems. You can only be used in the Warzone mode, and then people use this fact that the system isn't broken, that it's balanced, and that the arena component remains intact, and they use this as a justification for the system as a whole. But in my opinion, just because something doesn't totally suck and break your game, that doesn't mean it's good. That doesn't automatically make the Req system rewarding and the things you get in them worth your time. For example, the requisition weapons. They have a rarity scale attached to them, and usually the rarer the weapon is, the better it is. For instance, you can get a sniper rifle, which is uncommon, and then you get Nornfang, the incredibly rare, super powerful, legendary, mythic sniper rifle. And oh boy, is that exciting the first time you get it in a pack. A legendary. Legendary items are crazy rare. But really, why do you care? The fact that the almighty Nornfang disappears as soon as you die makes obtaining such a weapon vastly less exciting. Now, of course you can't keep it because that would be OP, but that gives credence to the point I made earlier. Yes, it may be fair and be balanced, but in order to make it fair and balanced, you have to make it less rewarding. You eliminate all the impact of earning a legendary weapon because it just doesn't matter. You may go on a crazy killing spree with it, or you could die immediately and not get to fire a single shot. The point I'm trying to make is earning weapons through the Req system isn't exciting, and honestly, neither are the things you get to keep. Now, the items you keep, like emblems and armor, are cosmetic only, and it may be fun to open a cool helmet or a chest piece and make yourself look badass, but was the method in which you earned that cool armor rewarding? Does it represent anything? An accomplishment? No. It represents luck. That's all. So you may get the coolest piece of armor in the game and you could put it on, and there you go. That's the extent of Halo 5's reward structure. Earning points and buying a random pack and earning a random loot item. It doesn't mean anything. It's pointless. You didn't earn it. You could get the Helljumper helmet on your first REQ pack, or maybe the 500th. It doesn't matter. And even if it takes you forever to get, it doesn't matter to anybody else either. When you get the helmet you've always wanted and you wear it and other players see it, they go, oh, I guess he got lucky. It doesn't represent anything to them either. Let me give you an example. A long time ago, I played World of Warcraft. I'm talking pre-Burning Crusade, which is its first expansion. Now, when I was first starting out in that game, I remember going into one of the major cities and seeing one of the most badass players ever. He was the same class as me, only he was level 60, which was at the time the highest level you could get. And it was an achievement back then. It was a pain in the ass to level. But anyway, this guy had the coolest armor ever. It was red with spiky shoulders, and there was a way you could check players' gear, and I remember its stats being just insane, and I had to have it. So I asked the guy, I said, dude, how did you get that awesome armor? And he was proud of it. It meant something to him, and he delighted in telling me, oh, you have to reach the max level in the game, and then you have to take part in this big 40-man raid and beat this boss, and then it drops from him. And then you have to outroll the other players in the party to be the one who gets it. But be careful, because it's a really tough fight. You need a lot of communication and good gear to get it. And guess what it did? It established a goal. I wanted that armor. I found pictures of it online, printed it out, looked at it from time to time when the game loaded. There was a task in front of me. First I had to reach level 60, then I had to do high enough level content to be strong enough for the raid, then I needed to join a guild to have people who could do it with me. And you know why I just told you all this? Because it's an example of a reward that meant something. Cosmetically, they are on the same level as the rewards in Halo 5. They both look cool, right? But one represents progression, one fostered community interaction, one stood for an accomplishment, the other, oh, got lucky, I guess I'll put it on. Now, WoW is a little different, and it's not a flawless example considering that game too has an RNG aspect when it comes to loot, though it's not completely RNG. For instance, certain bosses will always drop a certain set of gear. But let's look at some past Halo games and their reward structure. Reach, I think, didn't handle it very well, but it wasn't all bad. All gear had an unlock requirement based on rank, and then they costed a certain amount of money. Now, the problem with this system was that your gear basically only represented how much time you spent with the game, but that's at least something. And the fact that some items were really expensive made it so the player had to make sacrifices. I really want inclement weather, but I also want this helmet. It made your armor feel like an investment at the very least. And what about Halo 3? Halo 3 was the first game to have alternative armor sets, and unlocking them usually required the completion of a specific task. I don't think many people realize the full potential of an expanded system like this can have, and this is the part where I kind of pitch my own idea while simultaneously giving examples of why I think this is a better, more rewarding system than the one in Halo 5. In this system, every single piece of armor is tied to an in-game task you have to complete, and these tasks exist across all of this theoretical Halo game's modes: campaign, multiplayer, firefight, even forge. Now, instead of getting the War Master helmet from a random REQ pack that represents nothing, you earn it by getting the Running Riot medal in a free-for-all match. Now, instead of getting the EVA chest piece in a REQ pack that means nothing, you earn it by getting 3 assassinations in a single game. Badass sniper helmet, earned it by getting 4 headshots with a sniper rifle without reloading. Warrior shoulders, win 3 matchmaking games in a row. Get something for earning 2 killing sprees in one game, for getting an overkill with a rocket launcher, earning a perfection, achieving a rank, finding the terminals in campaign, surviving to a certain round in firefight. The possibilities are endless. Some pieces of armor and emblems will be harder to get than others. Now, some will no doubt point out some downsides to this. Oh, what if the piece of armor is too hard for some inexperienced players to get? Or maybe you think the fact that these are tied to very specific things is bad. But so many people don't see the upsides to a system like this. For one, it can be used to foster community interaction. Due to the fact that all of these pieces of armor now represent a specific accomplishment, some people will undoubtedly not know how to get everything. So when they see someone with a set of shoulders they want or an awesome chest piece, they may feel more inclined to ask how they got it. Hey man, how did you get those shoulders? I want those. Oh, these are the commando shoulders. You get them by winning a match-made game when you're the only person on your team who goes positive, and they'll remember that. And this has happened before. Remember in Halo 3 when you started seeing people with ninja armor and you see someone wearing it and you go, hey, how'd you get that armor? Oh, you need to collect all the skulls in campaign. Oh, I want that. Where do I get the skulls? And you look up all the locations. You got to go through the campaign again on Legendary, which can be tough. And then you finally get it, and you have a shiny piece of armor that represents something. You got all the skulls. You earned it. And how about Recon? Did people forget that Recon used to be like the biggest deal in Halo? Recon was given out specifically to those who impressed Bungie. You needed to make an awesome map or take a cool, crazy screenshot, get an impressive video clip, and then if Bungie noticed it, you could get Recon in an incredibly rare, prestigious armor set. And when people found out about this, it encouraged all of these great community creations. People were taking cool pictures in theater. People were making awesome maps, and because they wanted it to get noticed, they posted online. Maybe it was too hard to get, so Bungie made it obtainable in a more realistic but still very challenging way and rewarding way via the Vidoc challenges. These were a series of incredibly difficult tasks that you had to complete, and it was a pain in the ass, but guess what? It was rewarding and engaging. Complete a mission without firing your weapon. Beat the last level of Halo 3 in 4-player co-op with Ghosts. Survive this round of firefight on this difficulty in 4-player co-op. And have you noticed that these challenges brought people together? It required people to work together and help each other out, and it was a blast. You and 3 buddies playing legendary Halo co-op, flying over the collapsing floor on your Ghost, yelling and screaming every time one of your buddies died, laughing your ass off. And when the 4 of you were a couple rounds away from completing the Firefight Vidoc challenge, one of your buddies goes down and you have to revive him because you need him. But if you die, you have to start all over, and it took you hours to get to this round, and you're so close, and your buddies are screaming at you, and you're engaged, and you're having fun, and no doubt some people are out there reminiscing about these moments and how much fun you used to have. And you probably forgot that all of these things I explained to you and painted a picture of were all because of a freaking helmet, because of a cosmetic armor set that doesn't change anything, but it meant something. Recon represented something, and when you wore it, People knew what you had to do to get it. And then 343 took over and gave recon to everybody, and it stopped being special. It stopped representing something, and that's the biggest problem with the Req system. You see, 343 defines rewards as the item itself. They define rewards as a helmet or a chest piece. But in actuality, the reward is the journey you had to go through to obtain it. In a system where rewards are tied to a specific task, then your armor becomes a representation of your accomplishments. When I wear this helmet, people see it and they know I had to get a perfection to get it. When I wear this chest piece, they know I had to beat legendary solo. When I wear these shoulders, they know I'm a crack shot with the sniper rifle because you have to have completed these super hard sniper challenges to get it. And they might think twice before betraying me for it. The armor you wear represents the thing you're proud of, not just what you think looks the coolest. It can also represent what kind of a player you are and encourage community interaction. Say you're big into Forge. You're a little intimidated by multiplayer, but you're heavily involved in the Forge scene and making maps. And maybe there's a system in place that allows players to download and rate your maps like an upgraded file share. And then there can be Forge challenges too, like make a map that gets downloaded 500 times. And if you do, you unlock a little Anvil Forge emblem. And then people see that emblem and they know what it represents. It's not just, oh, got lucky with the REQ pack. No, it's, oh, he has the Anvil tag on. He must be a pretty good forger. And then they check your file server because they want to see what map you made to earn it. And they might download it and rate it and send you feedback, and it encourages interactions in that way. And that emblem, that would be nothing in Halo 5, has numerous and significant micro interactions in a system like the one I'm trying to say Halo needs. And the player can be proud of it and realize that the part of the community he likes to spend his time in is represented with a reward he or she earned. It's a system that's all-encompassing. It brings people closer together and engages players with one another. Let's go back to that Warcraft example I had. A player was wearing crazy cool armor. He was proud of it. He worked hard to get it and loved sitting in town where people could see that he had it. I thought it was awesome and I asked him about it. It brought about an interaction, me and him talking about what I needed to do, and it established a goal that kept me hooked on that game for a very, very long time. Do you see all the systems at play now? Yes, the Req system may not break the game, but like I said at the beginning of this commentary, it's not about what the Req system is, it's what it isn't. And it isn't a system that makes you earn it. It's not a system that rewards you based on accomplishment. It's not a system that promotes community interaction unless you want to count those pathetic REQ pack opening videos. It's not a system that hooks you. It's not a system that establishes a goal or entices you to take a journey. With the REQ pack system, there is no journey, only hollow symbols of nothingness. And if Halo 5's reward system doesn't provide a worthwhile goal, if it doesn't challenge you and make you feel proud of your accomplishments, and if the tokens it bestows upon you don't represent anything, whether it be an obstacle you triumphed over or a feat you conquered, then I think you could make the argument that it doesn't reward you at all. Now, I just threw an idea out there. There's a lot of questions that still need to be answered. You'd probably have to pay for DLC, and Warzone would have to be restructured if not omitted from this theoretical game entirely. But I think it's worth it. I don't think people saw the potential of a more challenging and specific reward system offered, and all of the interactions and unseen influences it could have had on a community and the way it collaborates with one another. This REQ system cheapens the game. It trivializes the things that are supposed to bolster the player and differentiate them from others, and it randomizes and essentially negates the aspect of the game that encourages you to push forward. To put it simply, because the REQ system exists, a better, more rewarding system cannot. And it may be a fool's errand to restructure the entirety of Halo 5 because of this, but it isn't too late to start preparing for the future. Halo 5 should be the first and last game to feature this system. If we allow this to fester, it will get worse. It will become more aggressive, and I promise the more successful the REQ system is, the farther away we get from the one that is ultimately going to be best for a game like Halo. And the closer we get to the REQ system becoming a more in line with the abominable AAA microtransaction systems we see today. And it's already started with the $10 HCS pack and now the gold pack bundles. Please share the video, spread the word, and let people know what Halo could potentially have in the future, that the problems with the REQ system are deeper than just simple balancing issues or microtransactions or pay to win. That's not what we should be worried about right now. It's the fact that this reward system isn't rewarding, and in future installments, we need a system that is. Till next time.